Hi, this is Kandia with Kandia Haynesworth Designs, and I am in the official classroom for the Sew It and Show It workshops. Thank you so much for joining in on this announcement for an adult Christmas sewing workshop in the Poconos. We'll make reversible placemats and matching napkins. If you are unable to attend, you can follow along because this is also a tutorial. But in the sewing workshop, adult students learn how to sew on a sewing machine provided by my studio. We'll use two coordinating fabrics in which adult students get to choose from a variety of Christmas prints and patterns, stabilizer for the placemat, pins, clips, hemming tape, scissors, a ruler, a marking tool, plus the sewing machine will be loaded with bobbin, thread, and the needle. And remember, I provide all supplies needed, including the sewing machine, so students never have to worry about a supply list. Let's get started. Before you get started, I recommend that you wash and dry your fabrics and then press them. Once you've done that, you are ready to begin your project. Start with the first coordinating fabric, laying it on a flat surface, right side up. Notice I have the coordinating fabric on top of it right side down, but we're not going to fold it over just yet. Then take your ruler and your marking tool and measure out a 12-inch by 12-inch box. So I'm using a marker just for this video, but ideally we would not use a marker because it bleeds. But for the most part, I'm going to box out a 12 by inch box. Once you've marked out your 12 by 12 box pattern, take your hemming tape, and what you're going to do is you're going to place hemming tape all the way around outside of the box. Let me show you. So I'm just going to take little pieces and just put it outside the line of the box like so. And you don't need a lot, so I'm just taking a tape that's maybe about 3 inches long, and I'm just placing it outside of the box. Once you have the hemming tape outside of all 4 sides of your box, you want to really take your finger and just press that hemming tape into the fabric, okay, because you want that adhesive to stick really nicely. Once you've got that done, you'll be able to just peel the backing off, okay, and it will reveal the adhesive onto the fabric. Now, I don't know if you can see the adhesive on the fabric, but you will be able to see that it's tacky. So what I'm going to do is remove all 4 sides of the backing of the hemming tape. Once you've removed all of the backing from the hemming tape, you want to take your coordinating fabric and just place it over right side down and then smooth out like so. And what's going to happen is this fabric is going to be mashed into that hemming tape, and it's going to bond both fabrics together. Next, take both pieces of fabric and turn on the other side. Now smooth out, and what you will see is that box that you've marked earlier, and now it becomes your cutting guide. Take your scissors and just cut along that box line that you've made earlier. After you cut your box out, you may notice that it's a bit shorter than 12 inches. This is okay. We've cut the fabric a bit larger than the average standard size napkin, so you had plenty of room for recutting or if there was an error, so don't worry about that. Next, you just want to place your ruler like so, and you're going to measure out a 1/4 of an inch on all 4 sides. To take a look at your ruler, we're going to measure out a 1/4 of an inch. So this would be 1 inch, and then you see that there are 4 parts. So that first line right there, that would be considered a 1/4 of an inch. We're going to lay the ruler onto the fabric, and we're going to measure out a 1/4 of an inch on all 4 sides. So that will look like this. So if I laid it here, that means that it's going to be measured out right here. Notice how that line that I'm making is pairing up with that 1/4 of an inch line. That is how you draw a 1/4 of an inch. We're going to do that all the way around on all 4 sides. So there is the 1/4 of an inch mark that I made with the ruler. I'm just going to place the ruler on that marking area, and I am going to take my pencil or your marking tool, whichever you're using, and just measure it out all the way around, just drawing a line like so. And I'm going to use the marker just so you can see it on the camera. Just like so, okay? And then I'm gonna turn it around, and that 1/4 of an inch would be right here. So I'm going to mark it out. I'm gonna do this on all 4 sides. Okay, so I've marked out all 4 sides of this box, and if you've noticed, some of the sides have more fabric extended than the other. So I'll let you take a closer look at what I'm referring to. So if you notice on that side, it's a little bit more extended than that. Okay, now this is okay because this box, which is actually our stitch guideline, just corrected any error that you may have made or I made when cutting the fabric. Because we are freehand cutting the fabric, so we might make an error. If we make an error, it's okay. This guideline becomes our stitch line. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn it to one of the sides. And I'm going to pick the side that have the most fabric extended out. I'm going to take my marker and I'm just going to place lines like so. Somewhere's in the middle, and it's going to look like that. Now this is the area that I'm not going to stitch over, and this is also going to be our opening for turning the napkin right sides out. Okay, so I have binded the fabric temporarily together using these clips. I used clips instead of pins. I could have easily used the pins, the straight pins, but I like the clips. They're a little bit easier to maneuver when you're trying to get them off, and you don't have to worry about them pricking you. Okay, all adults in the sewing workshops will have the option of using pins or clips. These green clips serve as our start and our end line. So I'll start here, stitch all the way around, removing the clips as I come along, go all the way around, come back around, and then once I reach here, I will stop, remove the clip, take the fabric off the sewing machine, and then the fabric will be ready for me to turn it right side out simply by placing my hand into this opening and pulling the fabric right sides out. Okay, so I am placing the fabric onto the sewing machine, and the first thing I'm going to do is, remember, we have my start and we have my end. Okay, so I'm going to remove the starting pin. Okay, and I want you to see that line. I'm actually going to turn the fabric around, but I just wanted you to see that line at first. We're actually going to start here, and then we're going to sew and then turn this way. So we're going to start here and then sew and then turn this way. So I'm going to turn the fabric around like so, because this is still my starting point, and I'm going to place my presser foot down, my needle in place. I am on that starting, and then we're going to sew a little bit in and then go in this direction. So I'm going to start off with the back stitch, because you really should back stitch. It locks the thread in place. And then I'm going to lift the presser foot up, rotate or pivot, And now I'm just going to follow this stitch line like so. I'm going to remove the first mini pin and this follow my stitch line. When I get to the corner, leave my needle down, lift my presser foot up, rotate the fabric again, put my presser foot down, remove the next mini clip, and then continue. Stop, remove the mini clip, and continue. And we are using the Brother JX2517, which is the official sewing machine for the Sew It and Show It workshops. So I'm going to continue this all the way around until I get to the end clip. The reason why I also like clips as well, because it also reminds you that you need to stop. Sometimes people sew over the pins, and you really shouldn't sew over the pins. I mean, for the most part, nothing really, usually happens. But I almost went off the line. That's why I had to maneuver this really quickly. But for the most part, you really should not sew over pins because it's dangerous. That's why. So this doesn't take long at all, as you can see. I am almost done. I'm coming to that last side. And you will see that green clip appear, which is going to be my end. See? And then it's telling me that this is my end. I'm going to stop there. And then make sure that my needle is down. I'm going to lift my presser foot up, rotate it, because now I have to go in the direction of that line. And then I'm going to back stitch. So I'm going to put it up there again so I can get that back stitch. And now I'm locking the thread in place. And now I'm ready to take it off. So now the whole thing is sewn around except for that opening. Okay, so we're almost done here. So what I like to do is I like to trim as close to the stitch line as possible. And this just prevents bulk. So I'm just going to carefully trim it outside my stitch line. And I also like to snip off the ends. Okay, just like that. And I'm going to do this all the way on all three sides. I'm not going to do it on the opening side here. So I've already done that side. I'm going to do this side, and then I'll do that side. Okay, so far this is what you should have. You should have all trim sides, but you should have this little lip. Okay, so if you notice, I'm going to turn it around so you can see how it extends out. Okay, whereas all three sides, I'm sorry, not all four sides, all three sides are even except for this little lip. That's going to be your turning point. So this is your opening for your turning point. To turn it, we're just going to, and now you're going to need your little pencil or pen, even a chopstick. Just going to open it up like so. And you want to either reach your hand in there, your fingers in there, and try to grab one of the corners first. Okay. And then just turn it inside out. And then where your pencil comes in handy is where you're going to poke out those corners. So I'm going to just take my pencil, not too hard, but I just want to just poke out those corners. Okay, I don't want to poke too hard because I don't want the pencil to go through the corner and poke it out. Then I would have to turn it right back wrong side out, and then sew it over. Okay, so we have 3 corners out. Now I'm working on the 4th corner. Okay, so far this is what it's looking like. Okay. Okay, so now let's look at where that lip was. See how that lip automatically just folds in there? Let me see if I can get a closer look on that. Okay, you see how that lip just literally just folds in there? So now the first thing that we're gonna do now is take it back to the to the iron board, because I like, you know, nice and a clean look. So I'm gonna take it to the iron board, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna top stitch it all the way around. Okay, so we are all pressed and we are ready to complete this project. We have to close the opening of that lip area. And for my samples in my studio, I like to add my tag. Okay, attendees of the Sew It and Show It workshops does not have to worry about tags of mine being on their projects. We do not add my tags to your projects, so that's not something that you have to be concerned about, walking around with my name tag sticking out of your creations. But I like to add my name to my samples. Now we're going to take it to the sewing machine and we're going to stitch a line very closely to the edge all the way around, and this is going to be our top stitch. It's like a finishing touch. You know, if you think of a cuff or something, even a napkin that you may have at home, you'll see that it has been a finishing touch all the way around. And then when we come back here, we'll stitch right over the opening and over my tag, and then we'll be done. Okay, so let's place this on the machine. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to start here. I'm going to put it just past the clip, but I'm going to make sure that it's at the very end here because I really want to be just around there. Okay, so I'm going to put my presser foot down and then my needle in place, and then I'm just going to stitch my stitch line all the way around. And then when I get to the corner, I'm going to put my needle back in place. I'm going to pick my presser foot up. I'm going to rotate it, pivoting it, put my presser foot down. And then I'm going to do this to all three sides until I come to the opening part where my tags are. And I use the white thread because this fabric has the red and it has the white, and I just thought that you know, white would be a nice finish opposed to a red or the light blue that the fabric has. Alright, so now I am coming to the last side. So I'm going to put my presser foot down. Uh-oh. Gotta pick it up. It was being a little stubborn there. And I'm going to slow down because I don't want to run into this clip. So, because it's holding my tag. So I'm just going to unclip one side. Just make sure that my tag is in there. Uh-oh, I done snatched it out. But I could just easily insert it in there. See? That's fine. And then I'm going to hold it. I'm going to kind of press it. So my battery ran out, so I had to go and get the spare. But I had paused the machine exactly where we left off at. Okay, so my presser foot is still down, my needle is in place, and what I was saying was that I was holding my tag inside because we're about to stitch right over it like so. So we're going to continue. And I'm going to just kind of guide it along right over my tag. And then I'm going to back stitch a little bit. And then lift my presser foot up. My needle is up. Take it off of the machine. And we are done. So let's take a look at this whole entire thing now that it is now complete. So this is the complete napkin. And we're going to be making a matching placemat, but it's very cute. I mean, it is just very cute. Not only just the fabrics that coordinate, it's just so easy to do this project, and this just really just make a nice touch on your table as an everyday use for Thanksgiving, for holidays, and for Christmas. So, if you want to learn more about the Sew to Shore workshops that you can attend for Christmas season, you can log on to www.kandiahaynesworth.com, or you can click the link below. One thing I must add is all students must register online. There is no telephone registration and there is no registration fees. Thank you so much for joining in. I really appreciate you all taking the time just to hear about the programs that I am offering and to watch this tutorial. If you have any questions, you can always contact me at sewing@kandiahaynesworth.com. That's all for today, and I'll see you next time.